exploring Ecuador and Peru. The places, people, and popular wildlife. Our trip covered it all. From the giants of Galápagos to the mystique of Machu Picchu. Upon arriving in Ecuador's capital city of Quito, which is the largest in the Ecuadorian Andes, we enjoyed unique vistas of colonial town right out our hotel window, including the massive metal-winged statue of the Virgin. The more contemporary city stretches through the valley and up the mountain slopes. Quito means belly of the mountain. Volcanoes, one currently active, encase the city as giant protectors of the people. Our guide showed us highlights of this colorful and diverse city, including narrow cobblestone streets, lovely architecture, the presidential palace, and a lovely square enjoyed by the people. Our next destination, lying some 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador, the islands began forming by volcanic action 7 to 9 million years ago, lifting mountains up from the seabed. In fact, they are still shifting and sometimes are bubbling with volcanic activity. Even though they are clustered around the equator, their unique environments are dictated by the 4 ocean currents that flow by them. Leaving the mainland, we took a relatively short flight headed to the Galápagos Islands. Looking desolate from afar, these islands are rich with life, many of which are found nowhere else in the world. Upon landing on Baltra Island just out from Santa Cruz, we were greeted at the terminal by our first of many sea lions. Excitedly, we board the Petrel, a luxury catamaran for 16 guests plus guides and crew, with private balcony, private bath, and lounging areas, and headed out to sea. Our route took us around the island, stopping at many sites along the way. Here are some of the fantastic things we saw. Transferring into our dinghy, off we went. In 1535, the first recorded visitor arrived in the islands accidentally and described the barren landscape as hell, probably due to seeing the black solidified lava. But what we saw there was plenty of life, starting with a colorful Sally Lightfoot crab that brightens up the drab rock as they scurry around looking for food. A hermit crab. Reptiles were so abundant. We saw a few geckos, lava lizards, and land iguanas. Although they look like angry miniature dinosaurs, thankfully they are not aggressive. Even more dastardly looking were the marine iguanas with a spiky crest running from head to tail. We often had to change course or step around them. Did he just spit? Despite having poor manners, they too were not aggressive. As the world's only seagoing lizard, they can stay under the water for 10 minutes, but after consuming the salt, they spit or expel the brine out their nostrils. Living in colonies, they spend many hours a day just hanging out and sunning to maximize the heat of the sunshine or warmth of each other to maintain body temperature before the cooling night. Giant tortoises were resting, but more about them later. Also under the sea were a variety of turtles, but the best way to see them is to go under. Although there are 4 types, we mostly saw the green turtles. They were gracefully swimming by or floating along with the current, completely unconcerned with our presence, but, like us, trying to fight the current was taxing. Primarily herbivores, they were munching on tasty snacks. A quick breath of air and back down. The fish like to take advantage of the turtle breaking off the food, but this one is being a pest. The ocean was full of other sea creatures, including beautiful fish of all shapes and colors. Sometimes there were large schools of fish moving in unison around us. Plus colorful seaweed swaying in the currents, and sea urchins and sea stars. There were stingrays that looked like giant birds gliding by. We watched the stingrays with caution, but then I spotted a shark swimming right under Tim. Up on shore, the sea lions took notice and one went under to investigate. At about 9 feet long, a male, called the beach master, can weigh 800 pounds. He will guard and vigorously protect his family. Soon the shark moved on to deeper water, which made more of the sea lions venture out. With no fear of humans, these playful animals were curious about us. One especially. Wow, that was a bit too close. Maybe I should get out, but there is so much more to see. What was that? And again, moving like a bullet in the water, it's a Galápagos penguin that feeds on small fish and can dive down 164 feet. But they hang out on land when not feeding. This brown pelican is a plunge diver filling his pouch with large amounts of water, then filters out the food. So let's talk more about the birds, starting with the turquoise-eyed flightless cormorant. Again, standing less than 14 inches tall, these are one of the world's smallest penguins and the only variety in the northern hemisphere. They live in small colonies in crevices in the rocks close to shore. Here's a better look at the brown pelican floating on the water. An elegant white egret, a Nazca booby, the largest of the three species, the smallest redfoot booby, and the funny blue-footed booby, but more about that later. The graceful flamingo with its striking pink plumage. Although they can fly, these seem content to feed in this nice pond, as does the white-cheeked pintail duck. We watched a patient lava heron successfully fishing. Now it is springtime in the Galápagos and love is in the air. The red-footed booby brings a gift to his lady where she places it on the nest of rocks. Both will incubate and care for the single egg that she will lay. We were fortunate to observe the blue-footed booby's clown-like courting behavior. The flirting display involves a dance and sky pointing and honking. It looks like she has agreed to pair up. Now these magnificent frigate birds have made their nest, while another one is quite engaged. These birds have a wingspan of 7.5 feet, but most impressive is inflating the red jugular pouch, which they only inflate during mating season. They build a rather hasty nest and lay a single egg, which both tend to. Similar is the smaller great frigate bird, which has a green sheen on the back feathers. Deep in the mangroves, several pelicans have established a nursery with hungry chicks of various ages. Next is a frigate bird without the pouch inflated. Galapagos dove, yellow warbler, mockingbird, brown noddy, and the infamous finches. The Galapagos Islands are famous for the extraordinary and often controversial work that Charles Darwin started during his visit in 1835. There are 13 different species of finches, each one on a different island. Those adaptations are the premise of Darwin's theory of evolution. So we went ashore to visit the Charles Darwin Research Station. Tim is on the right, but mostly to learn about the successful breeding program to save the tortoises. The early visitors named the islands because the tortoise shell resembles a Spanish saddle called a Galápago. After incubating the eggs for about 4.5 months, the hatchlings are put out to grow and later be released back to the wild. There are only two groups, the dome-shaped tortoise and the saddleback. The saddleback shell shape enables them to reach the higher vegetation. Both of these massive tortoises can weigh up to 550 pounds and live 150 years. This couple is making a new generation, but the process is very, very slow, taking up to 2 hours. Overnighting at the tortoise camp gave us a better close-up view of them in the wild. Although early visitors and inhabitants almost decimated the once abundant population, killing them for meat and oil, the great accomplishments at this research center and public eco-awareness have helped to restore a healthy population of these mighty giants. Back in town, a naughty pelican and sea lion had their sights on an easy meal at the dock. Like the playful dolphins and fur seals, all the unique sights were fun and informative. However, our favorites were the sea lions. They were everywhere. On the beach, on the rocks, on the benches, at the dock, in a boat, on our boat, in a tree, They seemed to be comfortable around us, even with a pup. And at times seemed to be curious about us, even playing with us. For 20 minutes, the juveniles circled our dinghy, splashing water on us. Alas, then sadly they seemed to be waving goodbye as we had to leave. Our Galapagos trip ended with a farewell to the fellow passengers and especially the fabulous guides, crew, and staff. However, the adventure was not over. Leaving the islands, we flew to Guayaquil and on to Lima, Peru, finally arriving in Cusco, where we explored this picturesque city and the people living there. Unfortunately, the next generation is not carrying on the traditions of their ancestors. However, we did learn about one very popular tradition, the flag, which means the beer is ready. So we visited a couple who told us, with translation, all about the beer brewing and the guinea pigs they raise. Next, a trip out of town to visit a rural village gave us much insight on how the locals live. Note the brown pig that keeps following us. Leaving the village, we passed salt mines. Back in town, we visited a colorful market with some oddities that we don't usually see. The next day, we started our ascent to explore the sacred Valley of the Incas. Marveling at the skill ancient inhabitants moved massive boulders without wagons or tools. We fitted them using only small rock tools like our guide showed. Nearby was a pack of llamas. They are heavier and taller than their cousins, alpacas, but are also used for wool as well as being pack animals. These llamas are not bothered by us, but spotting a dog in the distance caused significant alarm because of their nemesis, the wolf. The next day, with much excitement, we headed to the city on our route that would take us toward Machu Picchu. The hotel gardens not only attracted many hummingbirds, but was a sanctuary to rehabilitate and release the rarely seen spectacle bears. They are mostly herbivores and they love bromeliads. However, the cuckoo refused to return to the wild, preferring the good life here. Traveling beside the turbulent river, our anticipation was high. Next, a bus took us up the winding, precariously narrow road snaking between the Andes Mountains. Then we walked the last remaining trail to enter the magnificent ruins of Machu Picchu. Studies show that construction of the site began in the mid-1400s. It was possibly used as a royal estate and/or a religious retreat by the Inca people, but the exact purpose still remains a mystery. Sometime after Spain invaded the Inca Empire in 1532, Machu Picchu was abandoned and eventually overtaken by the jungle. But fortunately, with the help of locals, this marvelous site was discovered in 1911 by an American archaeologist, with later visits to reclaim this awe-inspiring area from the jungle's hold. It is considered one of the 7 wonders of the world. The early inhabitants used terrace gardens to grow food, but now only used by llamas and the many other wildlife that are free to roam this remarkable place.